Yes. Well, good morning, everyone.
Good.
Hello there. From the faraway land of Oregon, um, I live here with my lovely wife, Candace, about 30 miles from the Cascade Mountains and about an hour's drive to the Pacific Ocean. Grateful to be here, grateful to be with you. I love the Grand Valley. I love hearing John Denver. That always reconnects me with in my heart connection with Colorado, which is will always be the case for me in my life. I'm going to begin with the affirmation that you affirmed earlier, just to really set the tone here, which is, I am now waking up to the truth that sets me free. And I will add that this is your destiny. It is your destiny. It is my destiny to wake up to the truth that sets me free. There's something that I've been working on for, and I realized this very recently. I've been working on it for 72 years. 72 years, that's basically just about my entire life, all right? Maybe you relate to this. The one thing about being on this committed spiritual journey, especially since about 1976 for me, is that I truly, or any one of us here today, is truly committed to embody the truth that sets us free. It sets us free from our human misunderstandings about who we are. Then, if we're committed to this, then this is what's going to happen. Life is going to lay out before us and create the opportunity for each one of us to learn that and, and embody that truth that sets us free and to live that out in and through all the choices that we make in our life. And this is absolutely true for each and every one of us here today. And again, as I said, I've been on this path, and I'll share more about this in a moment. I've been on this path for 72 years. And then 23 years into that journey, I headed off. I'm very well aware that I headed off down the road less traveled, where there was much more spiritual intent behind the journey that I was taking. And I knew it. And this again began about almost 50 years ago for me. All the way along the way, maybe you can relate to this, all the way along the way. The intent has been very much the same, which is the intent of being on this spiritual journey of inquiry and practice and study and presence in order to make the return to who I truly am, and for you to make the return to who you truly are. I believe I mentioned this in my communications with Judy and earlier in our communications about today, that and there's a term for that, to who you truly are, which is primordial in the beginning, who you truly are, in order to make that return, it requires what I would experience and consider to be an evolutionary leap, a kind of leap that often will surprise you. Now, for me, I would say that in the last 6 weeks or so, I've experienced personally what I would describe as an evolutionary leap. I'd love to be, and I can see some of you, on the screen here. Hi, Samuel, my good friend. I I would love to be sitting in a circle there with you and address what I'm going to share with you here, together to be able to experience and feel the energy of this circle. So that would be, an added blessing to all of us here, I believe. Excuse me. So, but I'm imagining that this is the case, that we are actually together, all of us here in a circle. I'm very aware of a certain phrase today. I've become much more attuned to it and have returned to it in the last month or two, which is the section of the invocation from Charles Fillmore, our Unity co-founder, that he and his partner and wife Myrtle Fillmore applied in their lives. And I'm going to emphasize applied in their lives and in the creative endeavor in developing the Unity movement and Unity Village. And if you've never been to Unity Village, you need to go there. So this one line, if you will, goes like this from the invocation. In thy divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world according to thy perfect law. Once again, in thy divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations, and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world according to thy perfect law. It almost as if I want to whisper this. It's so powerfully true. And I would ask all of us here together today to just take a deep breath into this. Just a deep breath into this notion, this idea, this powerful teaching that says, now erase my mortal limitations. Erase, not just, oh, well, I'm working on it. Maybe I can, take care of one of these things in the next year. No, he's saying, erase my mortal limitations. And honest to goodness, for the longest time, when I've heard and recited and said and affirmed this, there were almost always two voices in me. Maybe you recognize these two voices. One was saying, yes, oh, yes, of course, yes, somewhere in the profound, deep recesses of who I am, I know that this is something we are designed to experience and co-create in our lives. This erasure of mortal limitations and mortal mistakes and mortal misunderstandings and mortal imbalances, mortal fears, mortal half truths. Wow, the list gets on and on and on and on, right? In thy divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations and from thy pure substance of love, bring into manifestation this world of mine that is in accordance with this most amazing, perfect law, the perfect design of this reality. And this perfect law, as he implies here, is exact. It will create what we provide. In other words, what we give to this, I receive. What you give, you receive. What I have given and put forth into my life, into my world, it will come through into my embodied expression and belief system, period. Boy, that phrase, from thy pure substance of love. The last time I was with you was 6 weeks ago, March 23rd. Seems like it's been in just a very, very short period of time. So this return to be with you, which actually is my theme for today, it's about the return. this return of being with you again today, and thanks again for the invite. I want to share with you something today, and I'm going to return to the affirmation that I had given you for the last time I was with you. And it goes like this: I am forever a wave of love light in service to our precious world. That those words and the energy behind it has really stayed with me since then. 2 days before that March 23rd Sunday, I entered into a therapy session with someone I deeply respect for a 2 hour session. I had not been in any kind of therapy for probably 10 years. And something happened there that was just completely unexpected. And I welcome in my life the unexpected, honestly. And I will say about what happened there is actually made what I'm describing today as the return. I made the return. I was in that session, I was in that place of remembering and reconnecting with me as a 2, 3, 4-year old boy and what was taking place in my life at that time. I actually have a photo here. I don't know if can you see that? Yep. All right, there I am. I was always told this is a photo of me when I was 2 years old. And I'm very, very close to that little boy now. In making this return to connect with this little boy here, and I was doing this with somebody that I deeply trusted. I came face to face with and learned that I had, as stated the last time I was with you, I had occluded or blocked or closed up my light when I was a small boy. I'm going to remind you of the words I shared with you last time from James Baldwin. It feels like today is again just sort of a continuation of what I shared with you 6 weeks ago. Here's what James Baldwin wrote: the longer I live, the more deeply I learn that love, whether we call it friendship or family or romance, is the work of mirroring each other's light. In its gentle work, steadfast work, life-saving work. In those moments when shame and sorrow occlude, meaning block, our own light from view, there is still a clear-eyed person there, beaming it back. In those moments, in our best moments, we are that person for another. Oh my God. Still, so sense and feel the power of this teaching. And as it happened that day, back on March 21st, as it happened with my friend and therapist, he was doing that with me. He was beaming my light back to me. He was helping me make a return to what I would describe as my, and you've probably heard this expression, making a return to my ground of being. Okay. What Yeshua, our Wayshower, described as Malkuta, which meant this vibrational frequency of heaven that is here and now. This ground of being kind of matches up with this notion of from thy pure substance of love. So for me, it was coming unto me, and my therapist could sense it via reconnecting in the present moment and holding in my heart. And I'm doing that right again right now. Okay. Holding in my heart my child when I was 2, 3, 4. What was taking place in me at that time was caused to generate a sense and understanding of myself in this world that was inaccurate and was an outpicturing, an outgrowth of what I was experiencing as a wound. So, in being present to that, I realized that me as a child here, because of what I had been experiencing, I formed, this is true for almost all of us to a degree, I formed and shaped and created an adapted version of myself, not my true self, not that in me which is mirroring the light that you are, but I was experiencing what was occluded and blocked. I realized I had been carrying this block of my light. I'd been carrying this forward, this adapted version of myself, this internal belief about myself into this year, this time of my life, for all of these 70 plus years. He also, my friend and therapist, took time to create the opportunity for me to really reconnect with Eddie, little Eddie, yeah, my 2-year-old. Me to see, to really see. I want you to get this, to see and deeply feel my way into this dimension of myself and that world that I experienced at that time, to the extent that I was able to return. I want you to hear this. I was able to return to the land of my soul that my child knew so well, and to embrace that child, be with that child in me, to realize that, oh, I, as this, as the person I am today, I can now be the caretaker, the one who is taking good care of that child right now. To bring this child, please hear this, to bring that child very, 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 very close, to hold him, to tenderly care for him and see him. It's very emotional. I feel it even now coming up. The beautiful presence of this child, to nurture and support and embrace that child to the extent that whatever happened that would have blocked it, the closing up of that source of light in me ended. And this light, as me, is shining once again. I'm here as a mirror, as I said earlier, mirror, mirroring that notion, that truth back to you, the light that you are. Okay. Now, one last thing about this. Normally, I don't even share things like this person that are personal to me in a talk that I would give. This is very rare. I realize that. The original wound that instigated this occlusion, this blockage of light, would no longer, I realized, would no longer be masquerading as me. All right. So this has a lot to do with what I did when I was with you back on March 23rd and shared with you there about mirroring each other's light. It's so strongly with me today that I had to sort of continue this journey with you, which is about what so many of us have heard about. We can call it the inner child or the lost child within each one of us, is simply to wholly and fully be present to this child, to which is integral and intimate and inwardly present with you, in you, as you, as this adult person who has passed through all of this life experience, now being willing to be accountable to tending to this inner child in you. Yes, I remember it's something like maybe some of you today remember about 40 years ago, somewhere around there, there was great emphasis on what was called at that time inner child work. So, right now, as I am here with you, at least virtually, with you, putting my arms around you virtually, I hope you don't mind putting my arms around you virtually. I'm reaching out to you. I mean, truly, I am. I'm reaching out with my heart and soul to you and opening the space here, right now, even virtually, so that we can invite, each of us in our own way, this inner child into our midst, your inner child into the midst of this gathering, to hold and embrace this inner child for one another today. This, what I'm describing here, this is the return, the return. So let's stop for a moment here as we begin to wrap this up. Let's stop for a moment and take a time out. This is what we were asked to do as little children. Let's stop and take a time out and hold and embody love, not in your heads, to really drop into your heart, into your core, and renew and return to gather your little child unto you, to bring your little child into you consciously, to feel as an adult this child's presence in you, your soul's deep need for love and encouragement in the embodied, joyful awareness of the child in you, feeling truly loved and blessed and celebrated and accepted. Yes, in this spirit, in this awareness, we all here today return to be fully renewed and present in our daily life in this, let's just be really clear here, in this way over adulterated world. This way over adulterated world full of expressions of shadow, what I would describe as shadow. The light of you, the light of you. Each one of us here has been, as James Baldwin wrote, has been occluded, has been blocked, has been hidden away. We see the results of this in our world today, do we not? Yes, we do. So, those of us here in adult bodies and in adult stages of life are acting out of this occlusion, this block of our true self. So finally, how many times have you heard it said, and I heard this going back to when I was this age, all right, in Sunday school in Central Methodist Church in Fort Worth, Texas, all right, I heard this from Matthew 19, verse 14. Let the little children come to me. Jesus is in a crowd. His disciples are trying to protect him. And he says, no, 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 no. Let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. Mm. The kingdom of heaven belongs to them? Yes. In other words, for us today as adults, this vibrational frequency of heaven is nearer than hands and feet in the life of a child. And that child, that I'm talking about that child which lives in us always, always. And Yeshua implies that each of us can return to the land of the soul, Return again, return again, return to the land of the soul. Return to what I am, return to who I am, return to where I am, born and reborn again. I don't know where that came from, but there it was. Um, that inner, what is the land of the soul that we're returning to today? This inner primordial territory. Primordial means from the beginning. This is the intent, this primordial territory to return, in which being alive every day is the embodied experience of being reborn and plugged into the power of tender, loving care in your life. The power of tender, loving care. In Charles Fillmore's words, thy pure substance of love. And in this awareness, in this understanding, in this embodied experience of what is actually designed to be, we wake up to the truth that sets us free. And so it is. Thank you. Give you a big hug. Okay? You good with that? Yep. Hey, much love to you all.
Oh, okay, now.
Oh, I
Thank
was
you,
just saying,
Ed.
thank you, thank you. That was